Hello all, Alison here. Welcome back to Words and Pictures for a little bit of tag time. You catch me mid-flow because my ideas were already bubbling and then I thought, oh, hang on, I was going to film something here. They may not end up being tags, they may end up being panels because I'm not sure I want to trim off the corners. But what I did want to do was use some of these stencil watercolour backgrounds created oodles ago. I'll link to that video below. And my Poppies and Cosmos stamps from last year, and yeah, just create something light and spring florally, something along those lines. So yeah, I'm just adding, this is the same palette, paint palette, that I had out when I did these stencil backgrounds. So by adding a bit of this colour to these flowers, I know it's going to coordinate with the tag background. It's going to have that little sense of connection. I don't want to be too precise about this. I just want it loosely watercoloured. It's not naturalistic, as you can see, because I've got these blues, although you do get blue poppies. You don't get blue cosmos. One cosmos, mini cosmos. A Cosmo is a cocktail. And these are definitely flowers. So I think it's probably as simple as that. I might want a little bit more right in the stamens, just a little bit more depth through here with some of those greys, beautiful greys on these palettes. These are the American Journey watercolors, and if you're lucky enough to live in America or have friends in America who will bring them over for you, then you can explore the American Journey range. I rather like that. It's like beach flowers. It's like a kind of, I'm a flower, but I'm at the beach. There we are. Yes, I like that. I might put just a hint of green in, because where some of these greys and greens have mixed, it did get greeny. So I've got another palette that's been sitting around here with the paint drying on it, but that's fine, because all you need, as you all know, is to add a bit of water and your greens come back to life. So I'm not sure how much of the stem I'm going to be keeping, so this may all be for nothing, but I think I want a little bit of that greeny echo in amongst the stamens as well. There it is. And there, and I'm almost certainly not going to have this foliage. Cosmos foliage is very particular and very frondy and almost impossible to fussy cut, which is what I'm going to be doing next. You couldn't fussy cut it in detail. I could do an outline fussy cut, but I'm not sure that's what I'm up for. I'm just going to lift off a bit of that green. That was a bit too much, but I think those are really pretty. I'm going to give them a little quick blast with the heat gun, cut them out, and then just do a little bit of collage playing onto these tag backgrounds to work out which ones it is I want in action. It's actually surprising how quickly this cutting happens. I do a basic cut around the outside of the flower, and then you can just go back in, and all you need to do is kind of 2 cuts that go down into the center, slightly shaped, and you're between the petals. Done. Simple as that. So cut a couple of little trimmy bits out, and you've got a detailed fussy cut with very little effort. And also it gives you a chance to get kind of, I don't know, close up with the shape of the flower, and I think there's a real joy in that. So as you can see, I'm not doing an absolute to the petal cut. I'm doing a slight outline. That'll give it a bit more sturdiness as it goes on into its future, because I'm probably not going to glue them down fully. As you know, I like to create some dimension with my petals, so that's really nice. And then, as I say, if I want a bit more petal dimension, then I'll take that cut a little bit further up in between, and then I'm going to get the chance to shape those petals individually as I go. There's the poppy. Let's go into there. Actually, that one's pretty good. And let's go into there. That'll create a little bit more dancing dimension. amongst our petals, maybe into there. Yeah, it'd be nice to go into there. So I'm creating that possibility of a bit more movement. So I'm going to cut up between those petals. There we go. So I'm torn between the very open, very light sort of beach vibe of some of these stenciling backgrounds, and the rather more ornate, rather beautiful. I think the stencil is in fact called Ornate. So I just wanted to try out those flowers. This is how I got to the middle of something before I started. Usually I come on, pick my backgrounds and then go. But with the idea of the florals in my head, I wasn't sure which backgrounds. So I needed to create my florals in order to find out. No, I think it's these, isn't it? Yeah, and the other thing I'm not sure at the moment is whether I want Poppy and Cosmos and Poppy, or whether I want Poppy and Poppy, Poppy and Poppy, Cosmos and Cosmos. They each have one facing in a different direction. So the large head is facing in one direction, smaller head facing in the other direction. I think I like the purest version. Keep the poppies going together and keep the cosmos growing together. And I quite like, I think it's those two. I'll save you for another day. Might trim this just a little bit because, as you can see, there's a wider frame around here than there is around this one. So I will do that and be back. I've also just dug out a couple of stems from a watercolour stamping session we had a while back. Some of the Tim Holtz little grasses that are quite adorable, that might want a little place on here. And I have, of course, got some of my dried flower stems and poppy seed stems, particularly with the poppies. I'm thinking the poppy seed stems belong here, and I think I might just loosen things up and have some poppy seed stems with the cosmos as well. And yeah, I'm wondering about a little Idea-ology photo snapshot. Couple of these, not him. She's quite good. I quite like the warmth of her against the blue. So again, this is not only looking for the particular face that you want in action, it's the colorway, and I'm definitely in pursuit of these warmish browns. I think is going to be the thing I want for the contrast. I don't want the sort of cool toned greys of those pictures. Just having a quick flick, see who I want. Who's calling out to me today? She's rather lovely. He's a bit grumpy. He's a bit too clean cut preppy. She's rather lovely, but the pink tinge of blusher on the cheeks is not what I'm after today. Not in a pink mood. Let's have a look at those two. Yeah, see the background of that one as well is a bit pink. Not after pink. Not today, Josephine. She's quite good because there's enough bold distinction. I do love her, but she's a bit too precise for what I'm after. I kind of like the slightly softer focus that's going on with these two. Look at you two. Have a look at you two. The heads are similar sizes, so I think it's going to be that. Let's have a look at that. Let's trim off a little bit of this excess so that this photo can just slide in between all our stems so far. And I'm letting the background do quite a lot of work because I love the background. I don't want to cover it up too much. I want that sort of, that's, as I've said to a number of people in replies to comments, I could make backgrounds all day and just be perfectly happy. So the background is really the point for me. Everything else is a bit of extra delight. That's shaping up pretty nicely, I think. I'm not going to want an awful lot more on here. I might want some words, of course. Being words and pictures, I might well want some words. I've got little sprigs of, oh, see, that could be pretty. Little sprigs of gypsophila. maybe there's one of those in there as well. So this combination of the stamped plants and the dried flowers, stamped flowers and dried flowers, is a perennial obsession for me. I think there's something rather nice about the white of that lifting away from the background in 3 dimensions. Yeah, I'm just going to have a little dig for maybe some metal words and then come back for a final little bit of gluing down and positioning. So a couple of Muse tokens. I quite like C for courageous and W for wonderful. And I'm just going to use my distress crayon. This is the Speckled Egg, I think, to just, yeah, rub very lightly, held completely perpendicular, so upright to the tag, to just highlight those. You can do it with a fingerful of paint as well, but it just gives those words a little bit of definition, because in the bronze colour, which I think this is, they can be quite dark. So there's the lettering of that little wonderful. You don't want to press too hard, because then you'll get crayon down in between the gaps, which you'll need to remove, dry it off, and start all over again for. So that just gives me my wonderful with a little more focus. It's going to be a gluing job, so it's going to be this. I might also add a little bit of padded tape. She said, wondering where her padded tape had got to. A little bit of padded tape behind these photos just to lift them up a little bit, but otherwise it's just going to be gluing down, really, to capture, to try and keep some of this dimension, some of this lightness. Not sure these are going to make the cut, in fact, because they're covering up a bit too much background for me, and also bringing a bit too much green. I'm enjoying the green, the very subtle green on the flowers. So I'm going to glue down, maybe even wrap a bit of twine round, and you can join me again for the close-up. I hope you've enjoyed that little tiny bit, but that's the joy of when you've got backgrounds made. It doesn't take much to build together a beautiful little collage tag. Dimension, flowers, botanicals, what more could you ask for? Thanks so much for your company. Do leave comments and questions down below. As I say, I'll link to this background video, and I'll link to this stamping one, even though we didn't actually use those in the end. And happy crafting all.